Love this song.
Okay, let me just take my ring off because it.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, everybody's muted, and here we go. Place you do not know. On your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. And I shall make your name great. And all shall praise your name. To a place that I will show you. Listen, Chayim. Listen, Chayim. Listen, Chayim. To a place you do not know. On your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
Yeah, Gary, we haven't heard those kind of words and music in maybe a year.
Yeah, I play it a different way now, and I'm not too used to it. So,
who was that? Who sang?
I loved it. I was singing along with you.
Debbie Friedman.
I was too.
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
I'm a perfectionist, though, so anything less than.
I have to tell you, years ago, Natalie Weiner, who was very active in the temple, had passed away, and she had her granddaughter singing this at the funeral at the temple.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it? So, Gary, I'm appointing you the official singer at my funeral.
You said that to me last time,
but I know, but I'm reminding you.
I know, I might.
You're going to live a nice long life. You're not going to have to worry about it.
Yeah, because I don't want to be distraught or anything, you know. I'll be too distraught. So if not for any other reason,
Please, Gary. Oh, I just had a whole bunch of books or something.
No, that was different. I was just. Can you see
yeah,
that?
Gary.
Okay.
Yep, this is great. So you have Isaiah, and this is the Haftarah, right? This is
yeah. This is for Lech, but it's kind of a long portion, so we should get moving.
And notice the words of that song, though. That's so great because I will make God's name great. That's one of the keys, I think, to Abraham.
Well, God said to Abraham, "I will make it." You know.
Oh, make His name great.
Your offspring like these speckles, the stars in the sky, and if you can count the stars. Like
fantastic.
That's good stuff, though.
Yeah.
All right. So, who would like to?
Are we starting with the Haftarah? Okay.
Yep.
I'll start. Okay. Why do you say, O Jacob? Why do you assert, O Israel? My way is hidden from the eternal. My claim is ignored by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the eternal creator of the earth, from end to end, never grows faint, never grows weary, measureless in understanding to the one who gives strength to the faint, adds power to those who have none. Even the young grow faint and weary. The young may stumble and fall, but all who trust in the eternal renew their strength. They soar on wings like eagles. They run and never grow weary. They march and never grow faint. That's nice. Let us come together at the seat of judgment, who has roused a champion from the east one, whom triumph meets at every step, putting nations at his feet, laying rulers low before him, making them like dust with his sword, like wind-blown straw with his bow. Pursuing him, he marches securely, though never before has he taken that road. Who set out to do that? Who made this happen? Summoning the generations from the beginning? The eternal am the first, and with the last I am the one. The coastlands see and are afraid. The ends of earth tremble. They draw near. They approach. Each helps the other, saying, "Be strong." The artisan encourages the goldsmith. The one who hammers the metal smooth compliments the one who strikes the anvil. It has to go up. Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Anvil. Saying, anvil, saying the soldering is good, and they fasten it in place with nails. It cannot be moved. But you, Israel, my servant Jacob, my chosen one, offspring of Abraham, my friend, I have taken hold of you from the ends of the earth and called you from its far corners and said to you, "You are my servant. I have chosen you and not rejected you. Have no fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will give you strength. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious hand. All who assail you in anger shall be humiliated and shamed. All who contend with you shall fade and disappear. When you look for your tormentors, you shall not find them. Those who war against you shall be less than nothing. For I, the eternal your God, hold you by the hand and say to you, have no fear, I will help you. Have no fear, you worm Jacob. That's a funny thing to say. You maggot Israel. Here is my promise, says the Eternal One. I, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, will help you. I will make you like a threshing, a threshing sledge, new with sharp teeth. You will thresh the mountains to dust and crumble the hills to chaff. When you winnow them, the wind shall carry them away. The tempest shall scatter them. Then shall you rejoice in the Eternal and glory in the Holy One of Israel. Why does he say something negative that way? Oh, God, you're jumping
No,
around.
that's it. No, that's the end of it.
Yeah, I know, but I
Yeah,
have a question.
Yep.
And why does he say something negative though? Where were we?
yeah, the
Yeah,
worm. Jacob.
Isaiah always does though. A lot of stuff that
Oh,
you
okay.
hear in Isaiah, like when he says "you maggot," I think
Yeah,
he's
maggot,
referring
yeah.
to. I think he means it more like in the sense of like compared to God's power, like the people of Israel, like they're are just like a little nothing, like compared to God and God's strength.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
I don't think it's. I don't think that's like an insult. But I mean,
I
some of it is kind of,
It does
right,
sound
Achi? Don't
kind
you?
of insulting, but I
You
understand.
know
Yeah.
more about Isaiah than I do, right, Achi? But he
Yeah,
does seem like he does seem kind of like he's not always really positive.
yeah, and he's more fire and brimstone
Yeah.
type of a guy, and which is kind of shocking sometimes. But I did want it because there was I'm trying to get to that place too because there was a commentary underneath that. But I know Gary, you already went to the next one.
I can go back to it.
No,
Wait a
I got it.
second.
I got it right here. I don't want to mess you up.
Oh, okay.
No,
Uh,
That you
Michael,
wouldn't mess it up.
I have a question of Michael.
Yeah.
You know the part where it says they shall soar on eagle's wings?
Do
Yeah.
you want to
that-
show? Do you want to screen share? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, does that appear in the New Testament as well, or is it just taken from the Old? Because the reason I'm asking you is that this is part of the I don't know how to say it. St. John's Prep uses this, and they call their students eagles, and they do have references to eagle's wings. That's why I'm asking you this.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the New Testament. I do think that's Old Testament, and which is the Hebrew Bible, which is what we know as the Hebrew Bible. I think.
But they would refer to it too if it was Isaiah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, Isaiah for the Christians. Isaiah is a huge book. I mean, and as I said last week, I asked the ridiculous question: who wrote Handel's Messiah? What was Handel's? But Handel wrote Handel's Messiah, and he used it. You have to look at the recording. I was like, who wrote Handel's Messiah? Anyway, but Handel uses Isaiah. So many verses from the Messiah of Handel are in Isaiah, and also, so I think Christians look at Isaiah as, oh, Isaiah is talking about the coming of Christ. I'm sure the Jews talk about Isaiah as the coming of Mashiach, and also the preliminary stuff. I mean, it's kind of because I'm thinking of there was one of the biggest pieces of Bible that was retrieved from the caves of Qumran was Isaiah, and they use it in Israel. They have a huge museum devoted to these scrolls just of Isaiah. So it's a magnificent book, and I'm going to say that, I mean, even in Job, which is also Hebrew Bible, like last Sunday we had a huge whole discussion on Job, and it talks about, I know my Redeemer lives, and so that's also used during Christmas or during Easter rather. I know my Redeemer lives. That's from Job talking about God. So, but it's also very Christian. So I mean, I always say, we all have our religions and stuff, but we hang on to God. So I mean, it's beautiful in a lot of ways if you think about it. It's really beautiful that we can share these things and see different things in them.
But every
Didn't
time I hear
Jesus?
that,
Didn't Jesus like focus a lot on the book of Isaiah? I thought Jesus himself focused a lot on the book of Isaiah.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew exactly. I mean, I should look that up. And I mean, he quotes Torah, I think, more than anybody. But one of the things that he does do with Torah, he does one little thing, and he talks about divorce. And I think this gets him in trouble with some of the rabbis of his time. He talks about how Moses allowed divorce, and Christianity, or Jesus says something like, oh, well, Moses only allowed that because people were so stubborn. So he allowed a lot of divorces to happen. And Christianity, or well, the Catholic faith anyway, says no divorce then. Okay, because Jesus said no divorce, but Jesus also said there are reasons for divorce. So Jesus was a rabbi, so he talks about the Psalms. He talks about the Psalms. I mean, I know for a fact, in fact, when he was on his way to crucifixion, he was reciting the Psalms verbatim, like all the Psalms. He was just he was just praying as he was going through this whole thing. So, I mean, it's so good to see the similarities, right? That's what I love.
Well, Michael, what the prep, part of one of their songs is "I'll set you down on eagle's wings."
Yeah, and I will raise you up on eagle's
I
wings.
raise it up, rather. Yeah,
yeah,
so
that's right. That's from Isaiah. Yeah.
Right. So they sing that a lot at the prep. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a big Catholic song. That's a major league Catholic thing, and there's a lot of it.
It's not just a prep song then.
No, oh, that's huge. That's I'm sure that's kind of like one of the more modern songs for the Catholic faith, because I remember that growing up and thinking, wow, that's not like from 1700s. That's like from 1960s or 1950s. So
I've heard that at funerals too, for the Catholic Church.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I think they do it because I'm in the congregational faith, I think, has that too. I should look it up. I could probably do a little Googling while we're reading.
But it's interesting because you react to it. You hear those words like I did, and the whole image comes back to me, where I've heard it and how beautiful it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's magnificent. I mean, all of these prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. I mean, these prophets, I mean, especially Isaiah, it's almost as if God is speaking through Isaiah. I mean, well, he speaks through all of them. God, he or she speaks through all of them. But with Isaiah, especially this one, I talked to I told you last week I got this Jewish version of it, and it is powerful. I think it's the best translation I've seen. Like, it's just like, wow, this is really powerful stuff. I mean, it's a powerful book anyway, but it's incredible. It's a great book. It's fantastic, and it's something to be discussed. I mean, there's so much there. There's so much. I mean, we could go on and on. I mean,
Now,
even,
are we back at the Torah portion now?
yeah, we're back at the
Yeah.
Torah.
Okay.
Does somebody want to read the Torah part?
Where's that?
Read 12:1. This is Genesis.
Oh, okay. Shall I read it?
Go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The Eternal One said to Abram, "Go forth from your land, your birthplace, your father's house, to the land, a song that I will show you." I mean, isn't that something? You just feel carried away here again. "I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and it shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will pronounce doom on those who curse you. Through you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram went forth as the Eternal had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Abram took his wife Sarai, his brother's son Lot, all the possessions they had amassed, and the people they had acquired in Haran. They set forth for the land of Canaan, and they arrived in the land of Canaan. Abram then traversed the land as far as the sacred site of Shechem, as far as the oak of Moreh. At that time, the Canaanites were present in the land. The Eternal now appeared to Abram and said, "I am giving this land to your descendants." Abram then built an altar there to the Eternal who had appeared to him. From there, he moved on to where?
The hill country.
Oh, the hill country, east of Bethel. He pitched his tent between Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built another altar to the Eternal and called upon the name of the Eternal. And then Abram continued his journey toward the Negev. There was a famine in the land, and because the famine in the land was severe, Abram went down to stay in Egypt. When he had almost reached Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "Look now, I know what a beautiful woman you are. So when the Egyptians see you and say, 'This is his wife,' they may kill me, but you they shall keep alive. Please say then that you are my sister, so that on your account it may go well for me, and that my life may be spared because of you." And indeed, when Abram arrived in Egypt, the Egyptians saw how exceptionally beautiful the woman was. When Pharaoh's ministers saw her, they lauded her to the Pharaoh, and the woman was taken to Pharaoh's palace. Through her, it did go well for Abram as he acquired sheep, cattle, and asses, male and female slaves, she asses, and camels. The Eternal then struck Pharaoh and his household with severe afflictions because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh now summoned Abram and said, "What have you done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say that she was your sister, so that I took her as a wife for myself? Look, now that it turns out that she is your wife, take her and be gone." Pharaoh then issued orders, and they drove him away with his wife and all that he owned. I have a question. Said Abram was 75. How old was Sarai? At that point, was she closer to him in age? Because I can't imagine that a 70-plus-year-old woman was that gorgeous that they took her to a wife themselves.
Remember, in the olden days, they look great.
I thought that he was like about 10, like when he circumcised himself, he was like 100, right?
Probably
99.
because he
I
was
thought he was in his
79.
when-
90s, but that's
And when
okay.
she had
Yeah,
Jacob, she was
Jacob.
90.
Yeah.
She was 90
No,
when
but
she had
no,
Jacob.
when she had Isaac as the laughing. Remember, she
That's
laughed.
what I meant, Isaac. What am I saying?
Right. When she
Isaac.
laughed and said, that's funny. But the point that I'm making is, how attractive would she have been at this age?
But you know what? You're still thinking like a modern person. Remember, everything can be different with the in numbers here. We always talk about that.
Yeah.
So don't get bogged down about it. She was a beautiful woman and everybody thought she was beautiful.
Yeah,
That's how I.
Okay.
I agree.
There you go.
All
you go.
right. All right, so Abram went up out of Egypt into the Negev with his wife and all that he owned, and Lot accompanied him. Abram was very rich with livestock, silver, and gold. On his continuing march, he hiked from the Negev as far as Bethel, up to the place where earlier his tent had been, between Bethel and Ai, where he had first built an altar. There Abram called upon the name of the Eternal. Now Lot, who had gone with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support them both. They had so much property that they could not remain together. A quarrel now broke out between Abram's cattle herders and Lot's cattle herders. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were inhabiting the land. Then Abram said to Lot, there should be no quarrel between you and me and your herdsmen and mine, for we are close kin. The whole land lies before you. Pray, part from me. If you go north, I will turn south. And if you go south, I will turn north. Lot looked around for himself and moved away from the other. Oh, wait a minute. Where did we lose? Something's different here. If I can't see on the
And
top.
saw the whole Jordan plain. All of it was
Oh, all
well
right.
watered.
Yeah. Okay. I was looking
Number
up on
10.
the top. Yeah. Okay. Lot looked around and saw the whole Jordan plain. All of it was well watered. This being before the Eternal's destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like a divine garden, like the land of Egypt, as you get to Zoar. So Lot chose the whole Jordan plain for himself and moved away toward the east. They parted, then each from the other. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the plain, pitching his tents as far as Sodom, whose people were wicked, hardened sinners against the Eternal. The Eternal One now said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, look around from where you are, to the north and the south, to the east and the west. For all the land that you see, I am giving to you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants like the dust of the earth. Only if one can count the dust of the earth will it be possible to count your descendants. Get up and walk about the land, its length and its breadth, for it is to you that I am giving it. Moving his tent, Abram went to dwell by the oaks of Mamre in Hebron. There he built an altar to the Eternal. Is this the explanation on the bottom?
No, that's a
Continues?
continuation.
Okay. In the
Yeah.
time of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasah, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goyim. Oh, Goyim, okay. These four waged war against Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shember, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. These all joined forces at the valley of Siddim, now the Dead Sea. For 12 years they had been subject to Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and his allied kings came and subdued the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emin in Shavakirataim, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran by the edge of the wilderness. They then returned, coming to Ein Mishpat, that is Kadesh, where they subdued the whole country of Amalek and the Amorites who dwell in Hazan Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and arrayed themselves in battle formation against the enemy in the valley of Siddim, against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amphral, king of Shinar, and Ario, king of Eliasa. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was studded with tar pits. And when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some tumbled into them, and the rest fled to the hills. So they took all the possessions of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and their food, and they went off. And as they went off, they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, with his possessions. He was a resident of Sodom. A fugitive then came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oak trees of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and Aner, who were what? Allied to Abram by treaty. Hearing that his kinsman had been taken captive, Abram mustered his retainers born into his household, 318 of them, going in pursuit as far as Dan. At night, he deployed himself and his forces against them and defeated them, pursuing them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. He then brought back all the possessions, his nephew Lot too, and his possessions. He restored the women too, and the other people. The king of Sodom came out to meet him after his return to the valley of Shavah, that is the king's valley, from fighting Chedorlaomer and his allied kings. Now Melchizedek, king of Salem, or Salam, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God Most High, and blessed him, saying, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed is God Most High, who has given your foes into your hands. Then he, Abram, gave him 1/10 of everything. And after that tithing, someone else can pick up.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another tithing, another reference to tithing. I always
Yeah.
bring it up.
That's
right.
right.
Everywhere.
It's true. Right.
Everywhere. Because we were talking about that, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago with
Yeah,
Tam
we're
Siegel.
talking about it. Yeah.
Cynthia, do you want to read? See if we can.
I'd be glad to read, but can you hear me? That's my concern.
My
little
concern
choppy,
is you go
but you're
in
okay.
and out. She comes in and
Yeah,
out.
I just don't understand it. I'm glad to read, but stop me if I become inaudible, okay?
Try talking very softly, see what happens.
Oh, okay, I'm trying. The king of Sodom now said to Abram, how's that sound? Better? Okay, and I was yelling to try to make myself heard. Okay. The king of Sodom now said to Abram, let me have the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the eternal, God Most High, maker of heaven and earth, that I would take nothing of yours, not even a thread or a sandal strap. You shall not say I enriched Abram, except what the troops have eaten, and the share due the leaders who went with me, Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their share. After these things, the word of the eternal came to Abram in a vision, saying, have no fear, Abram. I am giving you an abundant reward as a gift. Abram then replied, Eternal God, what can you give me when I am going to die childless? The heir to my household is Damascene Eliezer. Abram added, look, to me you have given no offspring, and one of my slaves is my heir. But the Eternal One's word to him was, that one shall not be your heir, rather one who comes from your own body, he shall be your heir. Taking him outside, God said, turn your gaze toward the heavens and count the stars, if you can count. Promised him, so shall your seed be. And he put his trust in the Eternal, who reckoned that his loyalty in him. saying to him, I am the Eternal who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land as an inheritance. He then said, Eternal God, how can I know that I shall take possession of it? God answered, bring me a 3-year-old calf, a 3-year-old kid, a 3-year-old ram, and a young turtle dove. So he took all these and split them, all but the bird in the middle, placing each half opposite the other. Vultures descended upon the carcasses, but Abram chased them. Then, as the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and lo, a powerful dark dread was falling upon him. God said to Abram, now know that your descendants shall be strangers in a land not theirs. They shall be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years. But then I will bring judgment upon the nation they are serving. After that, they shall go out with many possessions. And you shall go to your ancestors in peace. You shall be buried in good old age. The 4th generation shall return here, for not until then shall the iniquity of the Amorites be repaid. Now, when the sun had set and it was dark, lo, a smoking oven and a fiery torch were passed between these pieces. On that day, the Eternal made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I have given this land from Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Okay. The land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Hittites, and the Jebusites. Abram's wife Sarah, who had not borne him a child, had an Egyptian slave named Hager. So Sarah said to Abram, seeing as the Eternal has kept me from bearing a child, have intercourse with my slave. Maybe I will have a son through her. Abram heeded Sarah's voice. 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife Sarah took her slave Hagar, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife. He came to Hagar, and she became pregnant. And when she saw that she had become pregnant, her mistress became for her an object of scorn. Sarah then said to Abram, my wrong is on your head. I slave in your arms, and no sooner did she see that she was pregnant, I became for her an object of scorn. Let the Eternal judge between us. So Abram said to Sarah, look, your slave is in your hands. Do to her as you please. Sarah then afflicted her that she ran away. And an angel of the Eternal found her at a spring of water in the wilderness, as a spring on the road to Shur. The angel said, Hagar, slave of Sarah, whence have you come and where are you going? She answered, I'm running away from my mistress Sarah. The angel of the Eternal said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her ill treatment. The angel of the Eternal went on to say to her, I will greatly multiply your descendants. They shall be too numerous to count. And then the angel of the Lord continued, look, you are pregnant and shall bear a son. Call him Ishmael, for the Eternal has heard your affliction. He shall be as a wild ass of a man. His hand shall be against all, and the hand of all shall be against him. He shall dwell in permanent opposition to all his kin. So she called the Eternal who had been speaking to her, or El Roi, meaning by this, seen the back of the one who looks upon me. That is why that well, the one located between Kadesh and Bered, is called Bir Lach-roi. Hagar bore to Abraham a son. Abraham called his son, whom Hagar had borne, Ishmael. When Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram, Abram was 86 years old.
You know, this always reminds me of the book. I probably bring this up all the time. Do you know which book starts "Call Me Ishmael"?
Yes, Moby Dick.
Moby Dick. So there you go. Written by who? A Christian by the name of Herman Melville.
Herman Melville was it?
Right.
No.
Herman Melville was Jewish, I thought.
Oh, is he? Okay.
No, I didn't think so.
Oh, I
I'll
thought
look it up
Herman
on
Melville was
Wikipedia and
Jewish.
let you know next week.
I'll
right.
Google it right now. Maybe he might have been. I don't know. But
I
call me
don't know
Ishmael.
where I got that idea.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe I was wrong. I might be wrong.
Hey, Melville's not a Jewish name.
I don't know why I thought he was always Jewish.
What
It's just
about
my
the fa-
Mishigas. You don't have to go by me.
What about the fact that Ishmael's supposed to be like like of the Muslims?
It is, yeah.
Look how he's described here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
exactly.
shall be a wild ass of a man, his hand shall be against all, and the hand of all shall be against him. He shall dwell in permanent opposition to his kin. Wow.
Whoa,
Pretty
whoa.
heavy duty stuff, huh?
Mm.
Absolutely. So
Good.
yeah, I just Googled Herman Melville, and he was part of a church named the All Souls Unitarian Church, but he studied Jewish antiquities. So there was a lot of that studying
Ooh,
going on.
very interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Michael, just like you.
Yeah. I'm walking in good
Everybody is very, very similar to you, Michael.
footsteps.
So now we expect a novel from you.
Wow, man. All right, you know what? You laid down the gauntlet. I might have to just pick up my pen and start writing, or my typewriter, or my.
Now you have an incentive.
Yes, there's so much up here. Might as well just blast it out somehow.
No, I think you better get one of those, like I have not used it, but I know that my computer, you can dictate.
Oh
That's
yeah, that's
do.
right. On Google, yeah, you can Google. You can just take a there's a tool in there.
So you can
microphone type.
spill your thoughts and without hesitation.
That's right.
And
Can I just say
endorse
one
you.
thing quickly? Oh, before we.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, just the word, one of our favorite words here, tamim. And see here, you shall walk along before me and be pure of heart. And Noah was described as tamim.
Wow.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
You know what
It's
I found
fascinating.
interesting? This is where Lot first comes to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah. So he's like a resident there by the time.
That's right. But I
angels
mean,
come.
he wasn't there before this. He had just taken up his land, but then with all of this fighting, now he's part of, well, it doesn't say Gomorrah, it just says Sodom.
Yeah, but I
Right.
think they're close, like
Yeah.
Peabody and Salem. You know?
Right. And the kings seem to be buddies, the
Yeah.
kings seem to be friends. But isn't it amazing? Just this bit of literature there's so much going on here, right? We're talking about a barren woman, a slave who gets pregnant, and then we get the foreshadowing of Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it's all like kind of like tumbling together in this like.
And what about the fact that Hagar gets banished and then God comes to her and says,
Yeah.
He shall make of
Yeah.
you a new nation.
Yes.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating stuff. I mean, this is like this is the start of everything, right? It's
And
like
that Ishmael would still get the blessing of the firstborn.
that's right. That's
That's
right.
true,
Like he's very
unfortunately.
important. That's a very important thing. It's like
And
wow.
isn't this where Sarai becomes Sarah after she gives birth to
And
Isaac?
Abram becomes Avraham.
Abraham, right?
Right. But we haven't gotten there yet. Don't
Yep.
jump the gun.
Well, we know what's coming.
I know.
I know, but we suppose I have this thing that I pretend that I'm reading the Torah for the first time every time. And that way I kind of like when it gets to that point, oh yeah, I don't know. That's me. I'm a little bit of a-
Surprise.
Yeah, I like to be surprised even though I know it. Isn't that funny?
It's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, that's why it makes the Torah interesting each time.
Yeah.
with-
I like to read this like I'd never read it before. I don't know. That's how I look at it, you know.
You like surprises too, Ruth. huh?
I
It's
do like
you don't wanna
surprises.
see.
It shall always be a surprise.
Yeah. Can I read?
Sure.
Please do.
All
Please
right,
do.
excellent. When Abram was 99 years old, the Eternal appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai. Walk along before me and be pure of heart, Tamim. And I will set a covenant between us and multiply you exceedingly. Abram fell on his face.
Can I just
What-
interrupt for a minute? 1 minute. What does shall die mean in Hebrew, Gary?
Like the spirit, it's just another like phrase for God.
Oh, okay. I just thought there was another meaning. Okay, go ahead.
Wasn't
I
it something
sang a
about?
song about that at church, remember? El Shaddai.
Oh
A
yeah.
few months back, yeah.
Isn't it something
interesting.
like the Most High or the most
Yeah.
El Shaddai,
See,
the
I don't know
highest?
if it says. Does it say anything down? Right.
I am El Shaddai.
I'll have to look it up in my other book.
It must say
See what?
something down. Yeah, there it is.
Uh,
What does it
Meaning
say?
in doubt, God Almighty.
God
Right down.
Almighty. Okay.
It's the most frequent term.
known for its fierce independence,
That's the wild
freedom.
ass.
Oh, see, this is how it describes wild ass.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Right.
Freedom-loving
Yeah.
descendants.
Okay.
And
All
El
right. Now,
Shaddai
where
is
were we
God
back up
Almighty.
here? We were back up here.
Or the next page.
Were we? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
The top of the next page.
Yeah, that's right.
Abram fell on his face, and God spoke with him, saying, As for me, here is my covenant with you. You shall be the father of a multitude of peoples. No longer are you to be called Abram. Your name is to be Abraham, for I am making you the father of a multitude of nations. I am making you exceedingly fruitful and turning you into nations. Kings shall come forth from you. I will establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you for all their generations, an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your descendants after you. I will give you and your descendants after you the land where you have sojourned, the whole land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Also, I always think of, well, who else is a famous Abraham? I always think of this guy.
Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln. I always
Oh,
think
Lincoln.
of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh,
Weird. It's weird how these names pop up in history. It's still, like Martin Luther King, Martin Luther. Anyway.
Well,
God
it's interesting. This is even before Viagra.
Ruthie. I mean, Myrna.
I didn't
Oh,
say
it just
that.
dawned on me.
I know,
He's
Myrna.
99 years old. Come on, guys.
I know. This is great. Jordan's not even
Yay.
here. Someone's got to carry the mantle of Jordan, right? It's like,
All right.
God then said to Abraham, As for you, observe my covenant, you and your descendants after you in all your generations. This is my covenant that you and your descendants after you are to observe. Let every male among you be circumcised. When the flesh of your foreskin has been circumcised, it shall become a sign of the covenant between us. And in all your generations, let every 8-day-old boy among you be circumcised, whether it be a homeborn slave or bought from foreigners, not of your own descent. Let your homeborn slave and the one you buy be circumcised, so that my covenant may be in your flesh as an everlasting covenant. An uncircumcised male who has not circumcised the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God then said to Abraham, Sarai, your wife, call her Sarai no more, for her name is now Sarah. I will bless her, and too, I will give you a son through her. I will bless her, and she shall become nations. Rulers of peoples shall come from her. Abraham fell flat on his face and laughed. All right, so Abraham laughed, thinking, can a child be born to a man of 100? Can 90-year-old Sarah bear a child? Abraham then said to God, if only you would let Ishmael live happily before you. But God said, nonetheless, your wife Sarah shall bear you a son, whom you shall call Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him and his descendants after him as an everlasting covenant. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. See, I have blessed him and made him fruitful and made him exceedingly numerous. He will father 12 princes. I will make him into a great nation. But it is with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear for you at this time next year, that I will establish my covenant. Done speaking with him, God ascended away from Abraham. Abraham then took Ishmael, his son, and all his homeborn slaves and those who had been bought, every male among Abraham's slaves, and on that very day, Abraham circumcised the flesh of their foreskins as God had instructed him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day, both Abraham and Ishmael, his son, were circumcised, and all the people of his household, the homeborn slaves, and those bought from foreigners were circumcised with him. Lech lecha.
I
Wow.
have
Ouch.
to hurt.
Oh.
Yeah, 99.
Ouch.
Ouch.
You know, my grandfather was a reverend and a moil. And I remember my father telling me the story about he had a young, well, it was a man who was he was not Jewish and he was marrying a Jewish woman and he had to be circumcised. So actually, they did it under anesthesia at the hospital. And my grandfather did it, but they did have it. It wasn't as tough as this would have been.
Mm.
Yeah, but I want you to know that's how they do it mostly today. Only the Orthodox do it in the 8th day. Most people have it done in the hospital.
Usually by the OB guy.
Yeah, right.
No,
I think
Wow.
both my brothers had it, and didn't have an official.
I was 8 days old.
Oh, you
no.
were?
Yep.
Well, maybe I don't even
And
know.
it was
I
in the
thought my
hospital. It
brothers had
was,
in the hospital, but I was the
as a
youngest.
matter
I
of
don't
fact,
know.
I think it was the doctor that delivered me.
that used to be